the United States was just starting to come to grips with its racial past. Rosa Parks' refusal to sit in the back of a Birmingham bus in 1955 started a peaceful movement for equality. Southerners' violent response highlighted blacks' second-class treatment for the rest of the country to see. Forced to step in by events, the federal government chose to side with the ideals upon which the nation was founded rather than skin color. The notions that all men were created equal and deserving of equal protection under the law, no matter their race, color, or creed, were finally given life through force. Hope was in the air that better, more equitable times were finally arriving. It was in this atmosphere that Patricia and Alfred met, fell in love, and were married. Things would get worse before they got better. Patricia and Alfred's parents refused to endorse the marriage. Both sets of families quit speaking to them. Even when the Careys had their first child, Morgan, in 1960, his grandparents didn't visit. A year later, the Careys had a second child, Allison. Again, there was no visit. Life went on. The Careys established their family in suburban Long Island as the atmosphere surrounding the civil rights movement began to transform. Southern resistance to change stiffened. Rednecks openly defied federal court orders and scuffled with federal troops. In 1964, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act, which established programs to compensate blacks for the economic damage 300 years of slavery had wrought. But change was coming too quickly for some and too slowly for others. Factions from both sides resorted to violence. By the end of the 1960s, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., and Robert Kennedy had been assassinated, and the urban cores of major American cities had been destroyed by rioting. The Supreme Court further polarized American society by mandating school integration. It was into this atmosphere that Mariah was born. Her earliest memories are of a cross burning on the family's lawn, the dogs being poisoned, and a bullet crashing through the family's kitchen window during dinner. She doesn't remember any actual confrontations with neighbors. They wouldn't show their faces. Not knowing which of their neighbors carried out these heinous acts stretched Alfred's nerves. Any face he said hello to on a daily basis could be harboring an unseen hatred that had no reservations against endangering his family, if it got them to move. And their reception at black public gatherings was no more warm. In those days, you were either us or them. Trying to bridge the gap automatically made you them. The stress of being a biracial couple eventually took its toll. Alfred and Patricia divorced when Mariah was 3. Patricia kept Morgan and Mariah in Huntington. Alfred took Allison to Washington, D.C. Even though the harassment stopped, the children's lives became unglued. Unable to raise the children on an opera singer's pay, Patricia often had to work 2 or 3 jobs to keep the family afloat. Even then, there were times when the family only got by through the charity of friends. In the 14 years between the divorce and Mariah's graduation from high school, the family moved 13 times, sometimes only a day ahead of the eviction notice. But Patricia kept working, as a singer, as a voice instructor, as anything that would pay the bills. Living this existence was hard, but just before the divorce, Patricia learned something that gave her hope for a better tomorrow. Knowledge that would boost her spirits time and time again. Just before the divorce, a 2-year-old Mariah had shown that she was even more like her mother than she appeared. With no money for a babysitter, Patricia had begun bringing Mariah to her opera rehearsals. One night, as Patricia was rehearsing for a part in Verdi's Rigoletto, Patricia missed her cue. Mariah, however, did not. She not only picked up the part where her mother should have, she sang the part with perfect pitch and in fluent Italian. She was a perfect musical mimic. Patricia was certain that Mariah could achieve a level of musical success that she could only dream of. So when Mariah was 4, Patricia started giving her singing lessons. The lessons paid off immediately, but not in a way that Patricia intended. Singing helped Mariah combat loneliness. Mariah often spent the afternoons after school in an empty apartment as Patricia worked and Morgan spent time with his friends. Making it worse, many of the parents in the neighborhood wouldn't allow their children to play with Mariah because of her mixed heritage. One white mother refused to let her daughter play with Mariah, telling her in front of Mariah that Mariah would be a bad influence. Mariah was dogged by her mixed race even in school. In the 5th grade, her class was told to color pictures of their families. Mariah used white for her mother, tan for Morgan, Allison, and herself, and black for her father. The teacher told her that she was using the wrong colors and made her change. Incidents like this led Mariah to constantly question her identity as she grew up. She felt neither completely Irish, nor Venezuelan, nor black. Neither the white nor black communities embraced her because she refused to deny the other parts of herself. Matters got worse by the time Mariah entered high school, for the Careys were living near a wealthy community. Looking back, Mariah recalled, "I guess when you're part Irish and part Venezuelan, you're not completely connected to any one thing. You grow up like that in a suburban neighborhood with rich kids. You're not popular because you're different. There's never been a time